companies to change a business practice, or steps even further and says, hey, CEO of a company, you're specifically the reason why this is happening. That could really make a big issue. Or if one of these state AGs does the same thing. But until that point, companies are mostly concerned with complying with a bunch of different laws that aren't the same and the costs associated with that. With enforcement, yeah, they're scared. They don't want the reputational damage. But if we think of Facebook, Google, or Amazon can't afford a $5 billion fine here and there, then we'd be mistaken.
Thanks, Dan. That's Dan Stoller, Bloomberg Law Senior Legal Editor. And that's it for this edition of Bloomberg Law. Remember, you can listen to all the latest legal topics in the news anytime on our Bloomberg Law podcast. You can find them on iTunes, SoundCloud, or at bloomberg.com/podcast/law. I'm June Grosso. Thanks so much for listening. And remember to tune into the Bloomberg Law Show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Bloomberg Radio.
Why is delivering the...
At Ring, we've reinvented the doorbell. So no matter where you are, or what time of day, you can watch over your home and the things you care about. Ring Video Doorbell streams HD video and two-way talk straight to your phone, so you can speak to whoever's at your door from anywhere.
Delivery.
Oh, great. Could you leave it with my neighbour, please?
Sure, no problem.
And it's so simple, you can install it yourself in minutes. See, hear, and speak to whoever's at your door from wherever you are with Ring Video Doorbell. Available at ring.com and selected retailers.
Along the goal line, scores! It takes it home!
Hockey fans, the 2019-20 NHL season is here.
Here's Pietrangelo, he scores!
And you can hear the action live on TuneIn Premium.
Gonna move, hit a shot, they score!
From regular season action to the All-Star Game and through the Stanley Cup in June. Hear the home and away call for every game, for every team live. At home or on the go, never miss a game with the NHL on TuneIn Premium.
Upgrade today.
Right now, instead of hearing this, you could be listening to the music that keeps you moving with TuneIn Premium. Find today's biggest songs and all of your favorites commercial-free. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Go courtside with the NBA on TuneIn. With the NBA on TuneIn, hear your favorite team and players take on their biggest rivals during the biggest games throughout the year, including regular season showdowns, the 2020 All-Star Game, and the NBA Finals in June, featuring the home and away calls for all 30 teams. Plus, with the NBA on demand, relive the best moments of the season by listening to the past games in their entirety. Listen to the NBA all season long on TuneIn.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught, it is in for the right side for the touchdown.
Search NFL today.
Today at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now a global news update. Swift acquittal. Argument set. I'm Mike Moss. A strong defense from the president's impeachment team today. Correspondent Caitlin Collins at the White House reports the argument comes in briefs that have been handed over to the Senate.
Anyone having the most basic respect for the sovereign will of the American people would shudder at the enormity of casting a vote to impeach a duly elected president. That is going to be the White House message to these senators as they are going forward to make their case. And of course, they already feel that the president is going to be acquitted. They don't really seem to have a lot of concern.
Correspondent Manu Raju on what Democrats are saying.
Democrats push back on virtually every assertion that the president made. One aspect of it, it says that President Trump maintains that the Senate cannot remove him, even if the House proves every claim in the articles of impeachment. That is a chilling assertion. It is also dead wrong.
Democratic presidential contenders celebrated Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy at a South Carolina Baptist church today. Correspondent Jessica Dean has the latest on the race there.
Former Vice President Joe Biden continues to lead here. He has just very solid support from black voters in South Carolina, notably older black voters here in South Carolina.
A big gun rights rally in Richmond, Virginia remains peaceful. Correspondent Sarah Seidner reports protesters claim Democrats are trying to roll back the Second Amendment.
You will see folks here who are armed to the teeth, and you will see folks here who are just walking around. They're not armed. You've got everyone from ex-Army members, ex-Marines, to people who are currently serving, to law enforcement who are here, who are saying that they are very upset with what's happened with the governor and with this legislature.
The head of a Chinese government expert team says human-to-human transmission's been confirmed in an outbreak of a new virus. The development raises the possibility that it could spread more quickly and more widely. I'm Mike Moss.
Financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous? With all the recent fluctuations, it's hard to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Our technology can forecast market trend changes with up to 86% accuracy. That's right, 86%. Founded by artificial intelligence software developers, Vantage Point gives traders and investors the advantage you need to stay ahead of market trends and better protect yourself from sudden downturns. Vantage Point's patented proprietary technology is able to analyze massive quantities of data all around the world in seconds. No more guessing when to get out or when to stay, buying too high and selling too low. Text money to 411-411. That's MONEY to 411-411. We'll send you a link to our free demo so you can kick off the new year in the black with Vantage Point software. Text money to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy.
Puerto Ricans are outraged after the discovery of unused aid from 2017 and the hurricane. Correspondent Rafael Romo says many could have been using that important aid.
There are an estimated 7,100 people who were affected one way or another by a series of earthquakes. It has been shaking here on the southern coast of Puerto Rico for more than 3 weeks now, and there are people who have been telling us at those shelters, hey, I'm not getting enough food, I'm not getting enough water. And so as you can imagine, there's a lot of indignation.
The first stage of an extradition hearing for a senior executive of the Chinese telecom company Huawei is set to begin in Vancouver today in a courtroom. Case has infuriated Beijing because a diplomatic uproar and added to tensions between the U.S. and China. Canada arrested the daughter of Huawei's founder in 2018. I'm Mike Moore.
And I'm Mark Mills in the Bloomberg Radio Newsroom. The International Monetary Fund predicted the world economy will strengthen in 2020, though at a slightly slower pace than previously estimated, citing threats related to trade and tensions in the Middle East. The IMF said global growth will accelerate to a 3.3% rate this year from an estimated 2.9% in 2019. That marks the first pickup in 3 years. Both figures, though, are down compared with forecasts in October. Markets are closed today for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, but traders still have plenty to look out for in the week ahead, as we hear from Bloomberg's Karen Moscow.
The World Economic Forum, the annual gathering of global leaders in politics, business, and culture, returns to Davos tomorrow. Bank of England Governor Mark Carney is among those scheduled to speak. That's the same day we'll be watching for earnings from Netflix and UBS. A report Wednesday could show an uptick in sales of previously owned U.S. homes in December. And the ECB holds its first policy meeting of 2020 on Thursday. Karen Moscow, Bloomberg Radio.
Checking the financial markets with the U.S. markets closed, volume was light in the overseas markets. In London, the FTSE 100 closed down 0.3%. The DAX in Germany was up almost 0.2%. In Asia, Japan's Nikkei finished up almost 0.2%, and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong dropped 0.9% in Monday trading. Apple CEO Tim Cook said he's hopeful and optimistic the Intergovernmental Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development will strike a deal on corporation tax as his company battles with the European Union over a tax bill. Speaking at an event in Dublin on Monday, Cook said the debate on taxing complex multinational companies needs to take place at a global level. Moody's lowered Hong Kong's rating as a long-term issuer of debt by 1 notch on Monday. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Mark Mills. This is Bloomberg.
This is Masters in Business with Barry Ritholtz on Bloomberg Radio.
My special guest this week is Alana Weinstein. She is the founder and CEO of the IDW Group, a leading boutique for hedge funds, private equity, and family offices in search of top investment talent. Previously, she worked at such August firms as Goldman Sachs and the Boston Consulting Group. She got her undergraduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania and her MBA from Harvard. Ilana Weinstein, welcome to Bloomberg Radio. And I add that because I've seen you on Bloomberg TV many times, but I don't recall ever hearing you on Bloomberg Radio.
This is my first time, Barry.
So you've been in the asset management industry for more than 2 decades. How did you end up on the recruiting side?
The short answer is I was really young and I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone to HBS after a year at Goldman. So I literally went from Penn, from my dorm room to my parents' home, worked at Goldman for a year, and then went to HBS. And just to go back and answer your question, I ended up going to the Boston Consulting Group really because I felt I needed to get a post-MBA to my MBA. I wanted to figure out what path I wanted to take, what sorts of problems I wanted to solve, what industries were interesting to me. And this is I was in my late 20s. This is in the mid-90s. So the .com, because that's, of course, what we called it back then. Right. The .com bubble was just bubbling. And within a year and a half, my entire class of MBAs at BCG, the class I entered with, was gonzo. I was literally, they'd all gone to California to seek their, start the next whatever.
Give me a big fat slug of stock options and a stock that just goes up 10% a day, and everybody jumped at it.
And done, right. And you can imagine how that ended for most of them.
It depends on if they knew when to hit the bid or not. If they were smart and took off some risk, not too bad. But people who didn't,
so they had gone to try to start .com companies, and that wasn't my gig. I realized I'd learned a lot at BCG. I didn't want to be a management consultant as a career path, and I still was figuring out what do I want to do. And before I committed to any particular pathway, I figured I would jump into another milieu where I could learn, again, more about companies and functions and just figure out where I wanted to commit to. And so I joined a large recruiting firm thinking that would give me a purview. And as it turned out, I was really good at it. And I fell into, I quickly joined their financial services practice. And that's how I ended up in recruiting.
And so you end up focusing a little further along in your career on hedge funds, private equity, family offices.
So what happened was, after about a year or two there, the .com bubble burst. And this is this big search firm I was at, their financial services practice was really focused more on investment banking, equities, traditional asset management, sort of what I'll call older school businesses, compared to what I really fell into and started to focus on, which was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. As you'll remember, this is what was fueling the sell side. This is where the action was. It was the prop groups. And it was these new first of their kind type financial products. It was credit correlation, asset swaps, wasn't even called credit derivatives back then. Right. Highly structured, first of their kind, derivatives-y types of transactions. That's what we were focused on for the sell side clients that I was working with, and that's where the juice was. And all of a sudden, I developed my own business, which was on fire within this big firm, and it just became obvious after a few years to me to really try to do this on my own, given I was acting effectively independently within a larger construct, which was having issues at the time.
So let's talk also about the timing. As you were explaining that, I began to think about the timing. If we go back 20, 25 years, what were there, 200, 400 hedge funds? Today there's 11,000. Your timing into that ramp up could not have been any better.
It was perfect, Barry, right? I planned it perfectly.
Right? I mean, so all these, and Goldman Sachs is infamous for saying to a group of traders who they smell might be itching to head out, hey, why don't you guys go set up a hedge fund? We'll get you capital. We'll prime broker for you, and we'll steer some potential clients to you. And that's how they built an immense prime brokerage business. How much was the Goldman Sachs connection helpful, or as you as an analyst?
It had nothing. I was literally just understand. I started at Goldman in the middle of my senior year at Penn.
Right.
I mean, because I just was, I don't know, I was stupid. I was like working. I got through all my classes. I didn't have enough fun in college. Is the bottom line. I'm making up for it, trying to make up for lost time now. But I was finished with my classes. I started middle of my senior year, and I was out within literally a year to HBS. So think about it. I hadn't even graduated from college. So that was not what really jump started my business. What it was, however, you are correct in signaling the sell side as a driver of hedge fund talent, because back then it was the prop groups that were the precursors to hedge funds. It was these, again, high octane. And these were the guys who got paid the most on the sell side at the time.
Coming up, we continue our conversation with Alana Weinstein of the IDW Group, discussing the business of recruiting.
You're listening to Masters in Business with Barry Ritholtz on Bloomberg Radio.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hey, y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know, because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. For automakers, 2019 was the tipping point for sport utility vehicles. For the first time, SUVs accounted for a majority of U.S. auto purchases. Tyson Jominy is VP of Data and Analytics for J.D. Power.
It's continuing a trend that's been going on now for well over half of the decade, which is this dramatic shift toward SUV among U.S. consumers.
The auto industry reached other milestones last year.
This past December, we set an all-time record for incentives, a little bit over $4,600 per unit on average.
And if that wasn't enough, the average transaction price for U.S. vehicle sales was higher than ever.
Just a few dollars shy of hitting $35,000 per unit.
Jominy says for 2020, he sees SUV sales continuing to grow.
The shift is not necessarily slowing down. Consumers will continue to buy more SUVs. We're seeing a lot more coming out.
I'm Ed Corey, Bloomberg Radio.
Why has J.D.
At the Bank of Santander, they've created Stan, a smart bot that can predict the future of remortgaging.
All right, Stan, will my mortgage rate go up?
1955 was the last time Newcastle won the cup.
No, and try not to mumble.
Playing, let's get ready to rumble.
Meanwhile, at Santander, they can't predict your future, but they'll help secure it with great mortgage rates fixed for up to 10 years. See what's possible at Santander.
Early repayment charges apply. Lending subject to status and criteria. Your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage.
Hard Megxit or soft Megxit? Have Harry and Meghan misjudged public feeling? And what does their departure mean for the future of the monarchy? With questions mounting, turn to The Telegraph for answers. Subscribe today at telegraph.co.uk.
This is not a cat. This is not a rocket. And this is not a sale. That's right. At Smarty Mobile, we're not having a sale. While others are slashing prices, we're introducing our best ever new plans. Take our new 30-gig data SIM for just £10 a month. With unlimited calls and texts and no speed restrictions, credit checks or contract tying you down, why shop around? New plans, great value. Now that's Smarty. Grab yours today. Search Smarty Mobile. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
The Honda Jazz, the car that feels fabulously small on the outside, yet deceptively big on the inside, with its incredible storage solutions and magic folding seats. Not to mention the suite of advanced safety features. And now with the small but big Jazz event, it's available with 0% APR representative and 5 years complimentary servicing until January 31st. Visit your local dealer to find out more. Honda dealers are credit brokers, not lenders. Finance provided by Honda Finance Europe, authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Terms and conditions apply.
Fly with Cathay Pacific and arrive ready to make the most of the mesmerizing metropolis of Tokyo. Book now at cathaypacific.com. Cathay Pacific. Move beyond.
I'm Barry Ritholtz. You're listening to Masters in Business on Bloomberg Radio. My special guest today is Alana Weinstein. She is the founder and CEO of IDW Group, which is a boutique recruitment firm for hedge funds, private equity, family offices. Let's talk a little bit, Alana, about how your business works. Do hedge funds and family offices come to you looking for slots to fill? Are the traders and fund managers reaching out to you? What is the structure like?
So, let me back up and tell you, which I'm actually quite proud of. We've been in business for almost 17 years, 17 this February. Most of our clients, we've been working with practically, if not since the beginning, certainly within the first few years of inception of IDW. So what that means is we really know their business. We've helped them build their business. And yes, they are coming to us for specific assignments, whether it's, and the common thread being they are all senior people who can move the needle, whether it's someone to be a TMT PM for equities, someone to run an emerging markets business, someone to build and run distress. But at the same time, and this goes back perhaps to my BCG background, our role, my firm's role is to also be an advisor to them as well as to the market. So it's